Okay, I'm sorry, you were saying?
So I think he just wants to support, so it's hard for us to know for sure.
I mean, obviously, he's the CEO. He runs the company. So is he gonna badmouth his own company? No, no, there's no way.
So that's why I don't really, I don't like not trust him, but I don't believe him.
Well, you don't have to believe 100%. So you just understand that's what the CEO of Monsanto has to say. There's no other way. There's no way he's gonna come on national television and tell everybody, to millions of viewers, saying that, oh yeah, it's pretty shady stuff and you know, you should probably be worried about. No, he's gonna be like, no, we've done testing. We verified the safety. It's been okayed by the FDA, the Food Drug Administration.
I would honestly interview one of the people who has claimed they got cancer from
Right.
it.
So
Not the CEO.
so that's why I played you that clip last week. The couple who claims that Monsanto's Roundup, the chemical pesticide herbicides that are used in gardens and farms, they're saying we used it and we got cancer. That's one side. So clearly there's a danger. Clearly there's a health risk, according to the couple who claims that using Roundup caused them cancer. And the courts said, yeah, it seems like there is a link there. It seems like you did get cancer from using Roundup. So we're going to give the win to the couple, and Monsanto Bayer or buyer, you have to pay $1 billion per person. So two people, a couple, $2 billion. That was the ruling. Now they're going to move it up to appellate court and say, hey, we didn't think that was fair. That was a harsh ruling. You know, paying $1 billion per person just seems kind of preposterous. So, yeah, we don't agree on that. So can we move to a different court with a new set of judges so that they can review it again? They're always going to do that. So that's one side of the story. The other side, by the Monsanto CEO, he's saying, yeah, well, to be fair, the news clip was 2019. This clip that we just saw, the interview, was 2015. So it was before this happened. It was before the court case happened, okay? But still, there were people, millions of people in the US who were concerned. Not only because were they concerned about the GM technology or the seeds or the chemical sprays that they were using to spray on the crops, but because they know the track record of what Monsanto was about. So, and there were lawsuits after lawsuits prior to the glyphosate, prior to the GMOs, prior to all of that. There were lawsuits, pertaining to the DDT incidents, the PCB, the product that they've been made before. So all these products that Monsanto made, there were lawsuits. There were lawsuits. So if you are concerned, it's like, I'm not so sure if this company is really in thinking about the best interest of the people, especially regarding their health. They've had a track record of playing a little bit loose, too lenient on the people's health side. And if that is your concern, then you're going to be like, yeah, I think that the couple is onto something. It's perfectly acceptable. It's perfectly understandable for a couple to think that glyphosate or Roundup, the spray, caused or was a very, very important contributor to them getting cancer. Now, is it just that couple? No, I told you there was another janitor before them who made the same claim. He was a janitor, school janitor. He had to use Roundup to do his duties, basically, to do his job. And he claims that since I've been using it, and there was a time where he spilled it onto his entire back, and then he had rashes, and it was like a serious thing. Then he claims that he got cancer because he was using Roundup. And the court said, okay, 900 million. So a little bit shy of 1 billion. I think that's where this 1 billion per person idea came along. And the lawyer who was defending the couple, right, he said there are tens and thousands of other people who are making the same claim. We just know about the couple through the clip, but there are tens of thousands of other people who are making the same claims. I got cancer, I was severely injured by using the Roundup.
Can we see if they're, my parents want to know before I watch something on YouTube. Can we check to see if there's an interview with anyone?
With who?
With anyone who claims that they got cancer from Roundup?
Alright, you know what, I'll make a note. I'll make a note right here. And then I'll find one, and then, because I don't have one on hand right now,
Yeah.
right? So I'll find one, and then we'll play next week. How's that? Okay?
Thank you.
So besides the claim here made by this couple, you want to see another person who is making the same claim. Is that
It
correct?
doesn't matter who. It's just like if there's an interview.
Okay, so somebody else besides this couple.
No, it doesn't. So it could be the couple or the janitor. I don't mind either way.
You just want to see a full interview.
I just want to see an interview.
Got it. So interview. I guess I'll try to look for a full one. I don't know if there is one, but full interview on the, adverse health effects of Roundup. Okay, I'll look for that. That's a perfectly reasonable request. I think that's a good request. I'll find one. We'll play tomorrow. Next week. Okay. Now, so going back to what we played here, this one right here, business casual. This was out in 2016. So this is before glyphosate or Roundup is caught up on this lawsuit debacle. This situation where the company is expected to pay $1 billion per person.
That
Anyone
was
who claims
really insane. Like just saying 2 billion. I was like,
that's a lot of money.
yeah.
And tens of thousands of people, if they're all awarded the same amount, then this company no longer exists. The clip here said that Monsanto makes about 15 collects in revenue about $15 billion a year. So that's not their entire profit, but that's how much they rake in. So that's, even if we consider that the entire 15 billion as profit, still that would only cover 15 people. So to cover tens of thousands of people, it just doesn't make any sense. Right? So they're not paying for it, they can't pay for it. But the courts are saying 1 billion, why? Because it's punitive. It's like it's as a punishment. You knew, or at least you had a very good idea that this was potentially hazardous, potentially very dangerous to the human health, but you sold it anyways and you made billions in the process. So, it's a punishment. Now, you go back to the Monsanto CEO, what does he say? No, glyphosate, Roundup, they're safe, we've tested them. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, said it was good to go. The Food Drug Administration, they said it was good to go. Yeah.
Johnson, he said that he pays other states to keep them from joining the people. So why doesn't he just pay the health people?
Okay, so
That could happen.
So what happened was, it's a good point. What happened was, one of the hosts or one of the anchors, they asked about, hey, what do you think about? I think it was Charlie Rose, the guy in the middle. So I think he asked, how do you feel about mandatory labeling? And the response was, I'm for it as long as it's a federal thing. So it applies to all 50 states. It can't be a patchwork of one state and another state and another state all differing in how they're going to enforce it. Let's say, let me give you an example, okay? So let's say, what's that? They mentioned two states, I think it was Oregon and, was it Washington? I don't know, I forget. But anyways, there was two states, and what happened was, if one state A says anything above 5%, you should label. And the other says anything over 1%, you need to label. So if you pass that state where it says 5%, then you're okay because it was under 5%. But if you move the same product over to state B where they said 1%, now you have to put a label on it. So whatever the strictest standard is, that has to be applicable to everyone. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
that makes
clearly
sense.
he doesn't want that, clearly. So he would spend millions of dollars to kill the ballot, kill the vote, or kill the law for each state that wants a mandatory labeling requirement. Why? What he, according to the Monsanto CEO, he's saying that will be a disaster for the food manufacturers, the people who make food. Why? Because they can't move the food from state by state, because each state will have a different rule, will have a different requirement. So what he is for, universal, all 50 states, same guidelines, same requirement. How likely is that to happen if individual states' ballots are being killed? You know, and
Like if he brings, I think what he should do is he just says, all right, 1%, we're done.
well, then if he does that, then do you think that's going to be good for the company business-wise? Yes or no?
I think it would be fine,
Why?
but they have to do something. They have to say, this is fine, but it does have GMOs.
Okay, so what do you, let's think this through, because there are ways out of this, and I've heard other students make really good arguments, and they were arguing for the GMO company, so they were saying no to mandatory labeling. Okay, that was their side, and they came with really, for me, I thought it was a really brilliant narrative, argument as to why I'm sorry, he was actually on the other side, but he was actually trying to convince the pro-GMO side and saying something like this. You want to have labeling laws. Why? Because if you claim that it is perfectly safe to use and you really believe in it, then having a label is the perfect chance to really legitimize the safetiness of the product. If you genuinely believe that it is safe to use, then a label, if anything, would allow transparency, so people will know that it's in there, and they'll realize, hey, I ate it, it's fine, I'm okay. That would give your company, the industry, more power. So you absolutely should want it. That was his kind of defense. I thought that was pretty good. Now I want to ask you, if you're a GMO company, if you're involved in making your food stuff using GM material, are you going to be happy with the fact that the government is enforcing a mandatory labeling law on your products?
I
Yes or no?
wouldn't be necessarily happy.
Okay,
I
explain to
wouldn't
me why they don't like it. Why wouldn't
But I wouldn't be fully mad.
Okay, okay. Now, if you want to flip it around, okay, I'm not happy about it because it involves more work, but I think it's worthwhile. Then why? Why would it be okay?
Because there are some ideas that I have, like this thing, like it could be a stamp basically.
Mm-hmm.
All you go is to stamp shop, you can get something, peel it off, put it on, and good to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really think it's that much more work.
Okay, so let's say that the work involved is not that big of a deal. But the stamp in and of itself, or the label in and of itself, or the sticker in and of itself, making the sticker, making the stamp doesn't cost a lot of money. All you have to do is just get another machine or person to just stamp every one of them. So cost-wise, not that big of a deal. But what happens to the consumer's psyche when they see a food box on the shelves that has a stamp? This box contains GM material. How is that going to affect the buying behavior? What do you think?
It will make it go down, but not by a lot.
Why not?
Because a lot of people are. Wait, wasn't that like? Yeah, that was CBS this morning. A lot of people watch CBS, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the morning, actually. So I think what it should say, these were my words in my head.
Mm-hmm.
This product contains GMO,
Mm-hmm.
but based on the the health thing, right there in field 9, not just the health thing.
Mm-hmm.
Based on this, it said it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
So it is fine to use.
Mm-hmm.
But if they change that, then I'll be like, then I'll change the stamp.
Okay. So because the government agencies that regulate this and monitor the safetiness of this technology, since they already said it was good to go, then for me to put a stamp on it, if anything, I should say I trust the government. I trust the government and the agencies that are looking into this matter. And if they tell me it's good to go, then I'm gonna believe them and say it's good to go. So that's why you see the stamping. Then the other side's gonna say, if it's good to go and it's perfectly safe to use, why would you go through the process of adding another label on it if it's okay? How do you justify the label in the first place?
If somebody wants to know, like if someone's like on a no GMO diet, they might want to know that. We have no sense of way of knowing. So it's better just to put it there than to not have it at all.
So this really goes back to, and
Yeah, it's kind of like the circle, but
it's a really good segment into this concept. It was mentioned here, where was it? Is it here? No, I think it's down here. And we'll discuss this further next week. Okay. So, this clip, we're not going to play it today, but it's by a guy named Alan McHugin, and he says this: there's nothing remaining in the food that we as scientists, or at least I cannot, detect it. If you ask me, can you tell me whether this corn oil came from a GE corn or a regular corn? I can't find any difference because the chemical composition is identical. And the concept here is there's no difference. There's no difference between the GM corn and the regular corn. If there was a difference, then it would justify a label. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing, so it justifies a label. But according to this guy, chemically speaking, as a scientist, I can't tell the difference. I take the same oil, corn oil, go to the lab, do the experiments, and says, Doc, can you tell me if this is from a GM corn or GE corn or regular corns? Like, I can't tell you. I have no idea. It's the same thing. So this is what the FDA also said. They used the concept called GRAS, G-R-A-S, and it stands for generally regarded as safe. And why is it generally regarded as safe? It's because it's equivalent. There's an equivalency. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So we view it as the same thing. Therefore, it's safe. If you are concerned about eating corn from regular corn, then it's the same reason why you wouldn't want to eat GE corn. Just because it's a GM corn or a GE corn, it shouldn't warrant an additional scare. Because it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So if it is the same thing, why would you put a label? That's going to be the argument from the other side. Some people are going to say, yeah, maybe chemically it's like you can't tell the difference. But we know how you made it. How you made it is completely different. One is naturally growing, and you can probably engineer it with human intervention, mating different corn types so that you get a really strong one with a big cob. Maybe it can withstand harsh weathers, droughts, little rainfall, stuff like that. Maybe you can figure out a way. You can mix and match different corn varieties to make a really good one. That has happened for thousands of years. But the GM technology that we're using, we know that they're inserting bacteria DNA or insect DNA or DNA from a different kingdom that doesn't occur naturally in nature. So if you look at how it's made, then it can't be the same. Therefore, a label will be justified. So depending on where you're looking at it, the end product, it looks like the corn, it tastes like the corn, I run it through the lab, it's exactly the same as the corn, chemical composition. There is no difference. It's regarded as safe by the FDA, so it's equivalent, it's the same thing. The other side is saying, that's not how you, but it's not, the how you made it is not the same. There's a
yeah, and
difference.
also what I was thinking was like, oh yeah, you do it, but the thing is, it still used chemical. But imagine if you eat so much GMOs, then bad things happen. What are you going to do then? You get a ton of lawsuits, even more than you have now. So it's better just to put a label now and do more tests than just. And also, like you said, it's been happening for many years. You said over 2,000?
You mean just natural or
Just
crossbreeding? Crossbreeding,
Yeah,
just
like
regular crossbreeding?
Just crossbreed it.
Yeah, thousands of years we've been doing that.
Then let's just crossbreed it. I don't understand why we need GMOs to make it taste better.
Ooh, that's, well then if you remember the clip from this guy, the Monsanto CEO guy, he said that less and less people are farmers now. Only 2% of the population are farmers. So less farmers, but more people to feed. And also he brings in the climate change issue as well. We're faced with an existential threat in that we're seeing growing population, less and less farmers producing the food, added on to that, the climate change situation where we don't know how that's going to affect our productivity. So what do we need to do? We need to use GM technology so that we can cultivate and develop crops that can handle low rainfall, crops that can handle cold weathers, crops that can handle, whatever, any difficulties, any obstacles that we're going to be facing that surrounds the climate change situation.
You say you can't share seeds, but you also say
You want to feed the world.
You want to feed the world. Then why can't you share
That's
seeds?
a really good point. That's a really good point. If you're genuinely concerned about feeding the world, then you shouldn't sell this. You should actually give it to the impoverished or the developing countries where they really need it. And it should be for free since you are genuinely concerned about, feeding the world. But then they're a for-profit company. They still have to make money. They can't just give it away. I mean, they spend a lot of money developing that product. So, I guess, are they going to be single-handedly, solving the world hunger situation? I don't think so. But what they want to say, how they want to position themselves in the marketplace is like, we came up with this technology, and it's a great technology, and it can potentially feed a lot of people. There are other companies doing the same thing, but we want to be on the forefront. We want to be spearheading this thing, and make sure that this technology thrives, so that we can, use every tool in the toolbox to tackle growing population and climate change that can lead to severe world hunger. That's their main rhetoric. That's their main narrative, and they're pushing it really hard. And you heard it from the Monsanto CEO. We're an agricultural company. He doesn't mention anything about chemicals. We're an agricultural company. We're a seed company. That's not where they started, but now that's what they're positioning themselves with. And they're saying we're a food company, or we're a seeds company. We're very into farming.
Wait. I'm having an idea of what could actually make this easier. So you say can't share seeds, you can't sow seeds, and you can't replant seeds. You also want the world to grow. So then why don't you save millions of seeds for when we actually do, when climate change actually does start to take a toll? Why don't we just save the seeds, take them, and then as the world starts to, whatever happens, plant the seeds then, gather up a ton of corn, and you're good to go. I don't understand.
Maybe I'm just playing devil's advocate here, and we gotta end it now at this point. Are you taking a bus now?
No. I have both.
Just playing devil's advocate. If I'm supporting the company, and let's say I'm sitting on the side of the company, I would say something like, we still need to make money so that we can develop this further. We need to develop this technology further so that we can get better crops. I mean, if we give it away for free, then we can't improve what we have. We need to earn the money so that we can put it back into research and development, so that we can next iteration is better, improved, and we get better seeds.
How many types of GMOs are there?
I'm sorry.
How many types of GMOs are there?
How many types of GMOs are there?
Yeah.
Wow, I would guess at least hundreds and thousands at least.
Exactly. So if you're going to try to make more, there's already hundreds of thousands of different kinds, so it can feed many people. But why do you want to improve them? Do you think that there's something wrong?
Well, again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't think that there's anything wrong, or we've already proved with the science and with the government agencies that there is nothing to worry about. But doesn't mean that it's perfect. Doesn't mean that there are no rooms for improvements. We can always improve. We can always make better on what we have right now, and we will not stop until we get a better product. Every iteration, every time we develop something, every time we come up with a new product, we want it to be better than the version before. And that's how we reward our customers, our loyal customers who come to us for their important farming operations. They're going to buy seeds from us, and they deserve the best. They're our customers, they deserve the best, and we should give them a better product every time we give something to them. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. You understand that, right? But,
Yeah, I know.
But yeah,
I'm just curious, which side are you on?
This is where I have to turn this off because it's being recorded. But